Hello students, welcome to e-learning. I am CA Dr. Anuradha Ganesh and I am here to guide you on marketing management. This video has been made for academic purposes and for the benefit of 4th semester students of Mumbai University pursuing their graduation through distance education. This video has been made to address the third module of the subject marketing management for SYBCom of for SEM 4 students. Module 3 is about understanding buying behavior. Consumer behavior is different from industrial buying. Consumer behavior, as we all know, refers to the consumption of the behavior that we display at the time of consumption of products and services. We consume and buy products according to our needs, according to our preferences and buying power. So the goods that we consume may be durable goods, specialty goods, or industrial goods. What we buy, when we buy, depends on various factors. So the marketers need to understand the needs of different types of consumers and formulate their marketing strategies accordingly. Industrial buyers will buy for the purpose of production continue with the production process, whereas retail consumers will buy for satisfying their needs and wants. Industrial buyers may probably buy in huge quantities, whereas our retail consumers may buy in small quantities according to their requirement. Industrial consumers awareness is, or their focus is more on the details. They are very particular about the type of quality they buy. That is because it has to match with their quality standards and it has to be aligned with their output. Whereas retail consumers may prefer buying for various motives. For the same person, the motive may be different at different point of time. So the aim of any business is to first generate and retain customers. Understanding their behavior is a very important aspect because it is the consumer behavior which will predict the human actions, which will predict how people are going to behave or respond to a particular product launched in the market. Consumer behavior has assumed a lot of importance because today market is consumer oriented and all the strategies which are made are consumer oriented. Understanding consumer behavior is a very difficult task. Knowledge of the consumer, buying motives of the consumer, buying habits is a fundamental necessity for any marketer. Consumer behavior can be understood as a process whereby individuals decide what, when, where, how, from whom to purchase goods and services. It is defined as a study of individuals, groups, or organizations and the processes which they use to select, secure, use, and dispose of their products, services, or experiences. Consumer behavior is a process because it starts with identifying what is the need for the consumer, gathering information relating to the product, finding out various alternatives between the products, evaluating the different alternatives, taking the purchase decision, and then finally making a post-purchase evaluation by both the consumer as well as the marketer. So it's a step-by-step process, step-by-step activity, which has to be undergone so as to achieve the objective. And this behavior is displayed as after going for a complete information search. The search for information is a common characteristic of consumer behavior. Here, the consumer decides to buy a certain item, and that decision is based on whatever information is given to the consumer at that particular point of time. It may be the information may be given by advertisements, by word of mouth, or by any way, any channel of marketing which the seller may have chosen. The consumers make, nowadays consumers also make use of internet for searching, for reviews of products or the alternative products. So they keep themselves much more informed and they are better able to take their decisions. But this consumer behavior is just like human behavior. It is very unpredictable. It is very difficult to ascertain what attracts consumers, what will excite them, what will, how will they respond to any given situation. For example, when internet was first launched in India through VSNL in around 95, 96, it was not a big success. But in 2005, when IRCTC came up with their portal and offered online booking of tickets, it became an instant reach. And after Indian Railways started taking online bookings, airlines also started taking online bookings, and the rest is history. So, what did not take off? The internet revolution, the dot-com revolution, which was expected to be a bubble, or which was expected to be a big technological revolution in 1995, actually turned out to be a bubble which burst. And it took off as a revolution only a decade later. So what is that which the consumer may immediately accept, and what the consumer doesn't, we may not opt for, is something which is very unpredictable. Those consumers are heterogeneous. Each consumer behaves in a different manner, and the same consumer behaves in a different manner at different point of time. Their behavior is influenced by age, by income, by life, their stage in life, their family size, their culture, and so on. Or you can also count here the religion which they practice. That also decides their consumption pattern. The consumer behavior is influenced by various factors. It can include social, cultural, psychological, personal, situational factors, and it differs across the various regions. It is very important for marketers to understand consumer behavior and take appropriate marketing decisions. And this is one such concept which undergoes a change over a period of time, depending on the age, education, income level, awareness level. It undergoes a significant change. Consumer behavior is very dynamic. It brings about constant changes. Now, because of internet, access to internet, and because of the media explosion, consumers are exposed to so many advertisements and so many products. So this changes their thinking pattern. So this consumer behavior is both a science as well as an art. It's science because it is a systematic study. And it's an art because we are trying to understand a complex human psychology, and we are trying to predict how and we are trying to understand how human beings behave in a given situation. So it's both a science as well as an art. Now let us try to understand what are the various factors which affect consumer behavior. The broad factors which affect consumer behavior can be divided in 5 categories: cultural, social, personal, psychological, and economic factors. Cultural factors. Culture means the everyday, the lifestyle of the society. It's a fundamental determinant of what a person wants or how a person behaves. It refers to the set of values, traditions, or beliefs which guide the individual behavior. So now, for example, in many houses, for as an alternative to electricity, mainstream electricity, they do have inverters. So the practice of buying candles at home is a very distant past now. People don't buy candles at home. But there may be people practicing Christianity may still buy candles, and they will light candles at home. Now, this is because of their practice of lighting candles at a particular point of time during the day. So it refers to their beliefs, their tradition. Every individual has a set of habits, beliefs, principles, which they develop from their family status, from their background, from their upbringing. So their culture says that they need to wear a particular attire, say a attire of a particular color during marriages or during mourning, what kind of clothes they need to wear. And accordingly, they will go for buying that kind of color. Now, for example, whether it is buying white kurta or white gowns. So, people following Christianity, they buy white gowns for their weddings. But there are many people who buy white kurtas or white attire at the time of mourning. So again, it is a matter of belief. It is a matter of their own custom or tradition, what they want to buy. So the buying pattern of people will depend on what kind of practice they have in their families or with what upbringing they have been brought up. So culture can also be divided into subcultures. The subcultures will include the nationalities, religion, geographic regions, racial groups, and so on. So a marketer will have to be aware of all these cultural and subcultural influences. For example, all the vegetable vendors perfectly know perfectly well when is a particular type of vegetable going to be demanded by a particular section of population. For example, during April, the month of April, on April 14th, South Indians, many of them, Tamilians and Malayalis celebrate their New Year, and for which they need particular type of vegetable to be offered, to be kept as offering to God. So such vegetables are preferred and they are brought in the market around that time. Similarly, during Shivaratri, sweet potatoes are brought into the market and it's offered to everybody. So this is because of the culture, the practice of a particular section of the population. Now let's move on to the next factor, which is social factor. The social factor can be family, friends, relatives, or the religious groups. They are called. We also have something called as reference groups. Reference groups refer to all the groups that have direct or indirect influence on a person's attitude or behavior. Reference groups can be primary or they can be secondary. Primary group is the one which interacts on a regular basis. It includes family, relatives, family members, neighbors. And secondary group will include religious groups, political parties, clubs, trade union groups. So these are the groups which with whom the individual does not interact with on a regular basis. The individual interacts with the primary group on a regular basis. Nevertheless, the impact of reference group varies across the various products and brands. For example, when we buy some dress or jewelry, the influence of our reference groups, immediate friends, relatives, and all is always it will be high. Family is one component which strongly influences the buying behavior. Marketers try to find out what is the influence of the spouse or children in case of buying for product. So when Nestle introduced Bar-1 chocolate in 1990s, they saw to it that these chocolates were first distributed to children. So McDonald's also, when it advertises, it targets its a Happy Meal pack towards children, and it offers a free toy along with the Happy Meal pack. What is that for? Because it is believed that the children have a very strong influence on the family's buying decision. If children pester their parents, and parents will be forced to buying the particular product. So depending on the type of the product that we're talking about, so there are also some of the products where important buying decisions are taken by the male members in the family. But there are also some of the products where women play a very important role in buying decisions. So here, when it comes to eatables, ice creams, chocolates, noodles, children in the family have a very important influence in deciding the brand or taking the buying decision. So any individual is influenced by the immediate family. The social role and status of the individual also has an important role to perform. Every role that a person performs carries a status. So people will buy products which communicates their status. So marketers must be aware of the status symbol. Like for example, when we go to buy a car, if one goes to buy an Alto car or a Nano car, then people are going to say, okay, this person has a very low budget. But when a person is suppose in a high ranking job and carries a better social status, that person will not then prefer to roam around in an Alto car or a Nano car, would want to go for a higher end car. It may be it may be an Ertiga, it may be an electric vehicle, it may be an Exxon. So the brand name of the car will communicate the social status of the person, and so consumers are very cautious about displaying their social status. The third factor which influences consumer behavior is the personal factor. Personal factor refers to age, human cycle. It will differ for any person from time to time. It's commonly understood that bachelors would prefer spending lavishly on bikes, music, clothes, parties, and all. Whereas when the married couples would be more interested in buying house, property, insurance policies, and they would be more interested in developing their investments. So these are the personal traits. So for example, when we talk about occupation, a marketing manager of an organization would spend on purchasing of business suits or apparels which are more useful for formal clothing. Whereas any junior level clerk working in the same organization may not spend so much on business suits, may spend on maybe the apparel of their which suits their occupation. So the occupation which we are in will have an influence on our brand. That is also because the occupation that we are into determines our income level. So that income is going to decide our affordability, and that affordability will make us buy whatever we buy. So people are greatly affected by their economic circumstances, their income, savings, assets, their borrowing power, their attitude towards spending. All of these influence their purchasing pattern. Similarly, the lifestyle of people, like there are people who prefer to use perfumes, deodorants, who prefer to have many watches, and they would prefer to wear different watch for every occasion. So this is a lifestyle choice. So using a deodorant, using a perfume or a type of perfume, all of these are lifestyle choices. Depending on our choices, our consumption pattern will change. Similarly, each person has a distinct personality which influences our buying behavior. It is generally described in terms of self confidence, intelligence, dominance. It can be independence also. So, that our personality, our traits is an important variable which affects the choice of brands. Uh, the psychological factors are the motivation, the learning that we have, our perception towards brand, our perception towards quality. So there are people who think that if something is of a very high price, then it must be of good quality. So why do you think Gucci bags are sold at a very high price today and people are still buying it? Why do you think people are still buying some of the cosmetics which are very highly priced, but still people prefer it because they think it might be of better quality? This is a perception of people. So a motivated person is ready to act. And when what the individual thinks about a particular product is the perception of the individual towards a product or about the particular brand, about the thinking that the person has about that brand. The motivation is the desire which stimulates a person to act in a particular manner. A need can become a motivation for a person and when it is aroused to a sufficient level of intensity. Motivational researchers say that each product is capable of arousing a unique set of motive in consumers. Our beliefs and attitude help us to form an opinion about someone or something. So, marketers who want to sell their product, they do a research on what on understanding what is the belief of people. What do people have got to say about the product or about the services? What, for example, Lifebuoy soap is understood as projected as a man's soap, and it is one which it used to be shown as one which kills all germs, but generally it stood for masculinity. Whereas the same company projected Rexona soap as a soap which can be used by female. Of course, this is about the company's strategy to segment the market, but it also set up believe in people that women you must use Rexona and men must use Lifebuoy soap. So these are the factors which affect consumer behavior. I hope this video was useful in conveying about consumer behavior and in making you understand about factors influencing consumer behavior. Thank you.